Hello and good evening. This is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue, and thank you for joining us. And now here are the main local and international news headlines. The Ministry of Health has warned that the Gambia is currently experiencing the highest number of daily COVID cases since mid-2021. A fire outbreak in Bundung on Monday night has left more than 20 people homeless, among them women and children. Victims say the fire service was unable to locate the place until it was too late. We hear from a young entrepreneur who is championing tea bag making in the Gambia and aiming to eventually become a major exporter to the international market. And in international news, the United States of America today, the 6th of January, reflects on the first anniversary of the Capitol attack following the disputed U.S. presidential election, which saw Joe Biden defeat Donald Trump. Also, South Africa's Zondo Commission report published on Tuesday has revealed the depth of the corruption scandals during Jacob Zuma's 9-year term as president. Those were the main news headlines. And now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. The Gambia is currently experiencing the highest number of daily COVID cases since mid-2021. According to the Ministry of Health, the festive period, coupled with the new variants and people's reluctance to take the vaccines, has ushered the country into its fourth wave. Meanwhile, the ministry's house-to-house vaccination campaign is deemed as a success. Babakar C has the rest of that story.
The COVID cases registered in the country over the past few days show a dramatic increase, with more than 400 cases registered from the last days of December 2021 to the first week of January 2022. According to Omoro Njai, the Director of Health Promotions at the Ministry of Health, the numbers registered so far are worrying.
The current situation with COVID is not encouraging. With regards to the numbers, rising numbers, the last time, 3 or 4 days ago, I reported about 206 new cases. But sadly today, we have recorded 416 new cases of COVID. These are positive cases, 416. And this is our 415th National Situation Report.
This, according to the ministry, is caused by the recent December-January festivities. Here is Jibril Gando Balde, a senior official at the Directorate of Health Promotion and Education at the Ministry of Health.
These coming festivities, and then with the recent rate of transmission, it is very likely that we might pass, because the people who are coming to test for us to determine whether they have COVID or not, basically are the people who are traveling, leaving the country. And these are the people who came for these festivities, most of them, during the festive season. So now they are going back. But our people who are staying with us, they are not tested. And these are the people who should be tested to know your status. Because if you are not tested, actually, and you live with somebody who was from Europe a semester or whatever you might call it, and then that person on his way back or her way back, he was tested and he was positive. She was positive. So what should be your distance? You should go and get tested as well.
The number of admitted patients are huge, and the ministry is calling on Gambians to come out for testing to know their status.
We have about close to 651 people who are currently admitted. These are the active cases, 651. That's a huge number. And I think people need to be concerned with the current situation we have. That's a huge number. That's not encouraging at all.
However, there are some positives registered on the COVID vaccination campaign. According to Mr. Njai, the Director of Health Promotions, 98,000 Johnson & Johnson vaccines will expire on the 25th of this month. But with the rigorous campaign, half of those numbers have been successfully administered.
It has helped us to get to a level where at least we have about now 44,135 out of 98,000 doses. So, meaning at least half of that number have gone, and then many people have taken the vaccine. That's encouraging. But we still have about 44,135 doses left, which is expiring again on the 25th of January 2022. And we really, it's a concern. We want the public to consume this vaccine before next week, preferably.
The ministry is targeting at least 60% of the population to get vaccinated, and according to Njai, the number is rising to meet that ambitious target.
We didn't meet our target because we are targeting at least 60%, at least. But we are gradually moving from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, something like 2 weeks ago, now 17.8%. And I'm very much convinced that by the time we put up the data, we should be above 20 in the coming weeks.
With many festivities still on the way to come, the public are advised to be vigilant and mindful of gatherings as the country enters its fourth COVID wave. To date, such advice has been largely ignored. If we are serious about tackling COVID, the public must begin to take on board such advice. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
Well, some worrying news there about the rising COVID cases in the Gambia. A fire outbreak in Bundung has left more than 20 people homeless, among them women and children, after the inferno completely burnt down 4 rooms on Monday night. Omar P. Jallo visited the families, and this is his report.
The incident happened in Bundung Bantaba, near Brimawa School. It is not known what ignited the fire, but victims believe it could have been sparked by an electrical fault. Many such fires are caused by poor wiring. Ajinde Gay, a tenant from whose house the fire started, said her family and other tenants have lost substantial amounts of unidentified and unquantified cars, foodstuff, electrical appliances, house furniture and other properties.
Around 11:30 Sigudi,
it started around 11:30 p.m. when I was about to pray. Then I saw smoke coming from the children's room. I rushed in and waked them up and shouted for help. We lost everything to the fire. But thank God, no life was lost. We are appealing for help from everyone.
Modu Cham and other victims said the fire damaged over 100,000 worth of property in its wake, which does not include the damage to the compound's infrastructure, such as the building. Our neighbors were very helpful because the men struggled to pull out household items as the women brought water in containers but could not save a thing. We are appealing for help. Mohammed Mendy, a neighbor who got wounded in trying to put out the fire, says when they heard the shouting, they rushed to help put out the flames with whatever they could lay their hands on. The fire service was called in, but they arrived too late because they couldn't locate the place. When the firemen eventually arrived, the damage was already done. The compound is home to several families and tenants, as well as the house in which it started. Everything in the house and the adjoining 3 houses were completely burnt. QTV has previously covered other fires where an electrical fault has been blamed, and the fire service has not been able to locate houses as there is still no proper addressing system. For now, the victims are being accommodated by neighbors as they hope to be rescued from an incident that has left them with nothing. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
Well, that report by Omar P. Jallo now takes us to business news. In business news, young entrepreneur Fatoumata Njai champions tea bark making in the Gambia and wants her locally made tea barks to become Gambia's favorite tea and eventually become a major exporter in the international market. QTV's Jennifer Sonko visited her store and seen our reports.
Fatoumata Njai started making tea bags in her house, specifically in her bedroom. She saw the need to utilize the local products we have in the Gambia like mint, moringa, ginger, lemon and more to package them in tea bags. The name of the tea bag company is Yahare, a Sarahule word meaning woman. Yahare particularly supports and empowers women farmers across the country through purchasing their produce. Having previously encountered her, we were amazed by Fatoumata's transition within a short period, as she now has an apartment solely to produce the tea bags and has over 10 staff. We asked Fatoumata what she has done right to ensure consistency.
Based on that, I looked into what my customers need and their wants. So with that, I worked on my packaging. I decided to innovate on how I package my products. I worked on standards. Everything was well labeled on my packaging. The product was made clean and clear. So with that, people appreciated what I do. They appreciated my work. And then through that, I gained a lot of customers because they were very happy with my product.
Where does Njai hope to see herself in the next few years?
I want to see my teas all over the Gambia. I want to see my teas in all the Gambian local markets, the fuller shops, the bigger shops, the supermarkets. And of course, yes, I want to export. I've started exporting, but it's just small gradually. But hopefully, I will want to see my products in the bigger supermarkets, international supermarkets worldwide.
Njai asked young people to implement their ideas and start small, stressing that growth will come eventually when the right things are put in place.
I started with a small money. You know, you never start big, you start from small. And then what I will say is consistency. I made sure that what I was doing was consistent. I look into what my customers needs. I made sure that everything I did was based on follow-ups. And then, yeah, so what I would say is nothing comes magically. You start from somewhere. Gradually you will grow. So we can make it in the Gambia here. There are so many opportunities in the Gambia. So many things that we can do that can change your life. My business has changed my life. So I believe that other people could go through the same thing and then their lives will be changed as well.
Throughout our conversation with Fatoumata Njai, we realized consistency is one of the reasons for her smooth transition, as it allows entrepreneurs to establish awareness, build trust, and deliver service efficiently and profitably. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko.
Well, my mouth is watery. I need tea, but I will talk to Jenna Bosonko so she can link me to Fatoumata. Congratulations for that tea making.
Yourself. If you use an attractive shampoo by Parfum, come and find raw and natural. Concept in the world. Personalize your scents with the Parfum Bar. With the Parfum Bar, choose the perfume that looks like you. Buy Parfum 54 Kairoba Avenue opposite to American Embassy. You can join us on 77000225 or 529-1888. Buy Parfum Gambia. You will really love it.
Now, with Ajib Bank, you can make your vehicle number plate payments without any hassle. Walk into any of our bank branches or agencies located at Banjul, New Joswang, Karaba Avenue, Bakote, Tranquil Bursubi, Brikama, Basse, Farafenye, Numuyel or Garawal. Your number plate payments now made easy with Ajib Bank. For more information, please call us on 422-8405 or 377-5811. Ajib Bank, your investment partner.
Welcome back, and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News, and we welcome you wherever you are listening or watching us from around the world. As we waved a goodbye,
to improve health, businesses, meeting academic goals, targets, and many more. This year, we spoke to students at the University of the Gambia about their resolutions for 2022. Mrs. Fadairo Omotoso, a master's student at the UTG, says her New Year's resolution is centered around getting closer to God by working on her spiritual life. She explains to us how she intends to do that.
What I'm going to do is to read my Bible a chapter a day, because previously I'd always wanted to cover it within a year and I didn't make it.
Ismaila Bojang, also a master's student at the university and a lecturer at the Gambia College, recollected some of the challenges he faced in 2021 and stated his New Year's resolutions and expectations for 2022.
As far as Gambia is concerned, and on a personal level as a teacher, I'm expecting to see a very glowing future. The new pay grade that should be adopted in July. In the new pay grade, teachers are marginalized. I am sure perhaps it could be a mistake. If it is not, well, that should be corrected.
Both Ibrahim Allo and Lala Hydra are first-year students at the UTG, and they too shared with us their New Year's resolutions.
I'm doing my second semester, so my focus is going to be on that.
So focus, study hard, and get good grades.
Usman Job is a political science major at the UTG. He says the past year had been very tough and challenging, but he was motivated to move on and deal with the realities of life. Usman also urged the government to try to improve its development agenda, particularly the health, agriculture, and the education sectors, saying people re-elected President Barrow because of the high hopes they have in him. He also pointed out some of his resolutions for 2022.
One among them is to achieve more and more greater things in 2022. Though it wouldn't be easy, it would be challenging, but I am ready to face, whatever challenge is ahead of me.
Mohamed Ba is a first-year second semester law student at the University of the Gambia, one of whose 2021 resolutions to do an internship program at a law firm before enrolling at the UTG was disrupted by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Here is what he plans to do in 2022.
In this year, I really want to see myself growing bigger. There's a project that I've started, and we've started as a team, bring a project that is going to oversee, an extension of agricultural gardens, where we are going to fence gardens, where we are going to build boreholes, where we are also going to give them fertilizers, and also, teach them as to how to market some of their products.
Despite the number of resolutions people make every year, it is not always certain that one will be able to meet all their targets because of unforeseen circumstances that come their way, as was shown in the way COVID-19 interrupted or halted many people's plans. Despite that, we hope and expect that 2022 will be a flourishing year for everyone. Reporting for QTV News, I am Yahya Jao.
That report by Yahya Jao takes us to the international news. Well, in international news, the United States of America today, the 6th January, reflected on the anniversary of the Capitol attack following the disputed U.S. presidential election, which saw Democratic Party candidate Joe Biden elected president, defeating the Republican Party's candidate, that is Donald Trump. Alusise has the report.
For over 2 centuries, the congressional certification of votes in a U.S. presidential election was normally a procedural rubber-stamped. But on January 6, 2021, it became a moment of reckoning, a wake-up call, and an event that for many observers seemed to shake the foundation of America's democracy. As U.S. lawmakers met to satisfy Joe Biden's victory, then President Donald Trump addressed a crowd that for weeks had been fed the big lie by right-wing media, online conspiracy theory movements like QAnon, and neo-fascist groups like the Proud Boys, which claim Biden stole the 2020 U.S. presidential election. In an effort to stop this tale, the crowd of Trump loyalists wreaked havoc in the Capitol and attempted to stop the certification of Biden's victory. The riot in Washington, D.C. left 4 Trump supporters and 1 Capitol police officer dead and 140 officers injured. A rare, unified response of condemnation came from both sides of the U.S. political spectrum. Trump and many in his inner circle are still under investigation for having roles in the insurrection. But in the court of public opinion, with a great deal of misinformation and lies on both social and mainstream media, the former president's actions appear legitimate to many of his supporters. According to a June 2021 Monmouth University poll, nearly half of Republican voters believe the riots were legitimate protest. In a statement, Trump accused the Congressional Committee investigating the event of showing total bias and dishonesty. He maintains that the November 2020 presidential election was marked by fraud and that he actually won. There is no evidence to support his claim. The FBI has charged 727 people using evidence provided by surveillance cameras, YouTube videos, and cell phone footage. Charges against them include obstruction of an official proceeding, use of dangerous weapon, and assault. Of those convicted, some received negligible fines of $500 equivalent to £440 for destruction of property. Others will serve prison sentences of over 5 years for assaulting a police officer. The House panel investigating the U.S. Capitol insurrection on Tuesday requested an interview with Fox News personality Sean Hannity, one of former President Donald Trump's closest allies in the media, as the committee continues to widen its scope. Thompson said about 90% of the witnesses called by the committee have cooperated despite the defiance of high-profile Trump allies like Meadows and Steve Bannon. Whatever the outcome of the investigation, they are unlikely to close a wide gap that has grown between those on either side of America's political divide. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Still on international news, South Africa's Zondo Commission report published on Tuesday has revealed the depth of the corruption scandals during Jacob Zuma's 9-year term as president. The commission has recommended, amongst other steps, the South Africa's government to establish an independent anti-corruption authority with a mandate to confront the abuses that are endemic in the present system. More in this report.
In the massive 874-page report into allegations of high-level corruption under Jacob Zuma, former president of South Africa, George Raymond Zondo found that the former president advanced the interest of the Gupta family and close allies at the expense of the people of South Africa in what has come to be known as state capture. The Gupta family is a wealthy Indian origin family with business interests in South Africa, but both Zuma and the Gupta family have previously denied any wrongdoing. However, the first part of the report of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture has recommended the establishment of a single, multifunctional, properly resourced and independent anti-corruption authority by government with a mandate to confront the abuses that are ingrained in the present system. State capture describes a form of corruption in which businesses and politicians conspire to influence a country's decision-making process to advance their own interests. Handing over the report to President Ramaphosa on Tuesday, the Commission's chairperson, Acting Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, said that the authority could be called the Anti-Corruption Authority or Agency of South Africa and could be constituted along the lines of the Competition Commission. The report also suggested the agency or authority to include specialized departments with particular mandates, but which collectively represent a comprehensive response to the challenges which may arise. Justice Zondo found that the South African Revenue Services, once regarded as a world-class tax institution, was one of the key departments targeted for state capture because its investigatory and enforcement capacity was a hurdle to people involved in organized crime. The report also said that the institution was systematically and deliberately weakened under the leadership of Tom Moyane, an ally to former President Jacob Zuma, who has been heavily criticized for his management of South Africa's tax body. The Commission furthermore recommends that Mr. Moyane be charged with perjury in relation to his false evidence presented to Parliament. Justice Zondo also found that there was overwhelming and corroborated evidence that Ms. Mieni, a powerful close friend and long-serving executive chairperson of the Jacob Zuma Foundation, was unlawfully benefiting from state security agency resources and enjoyed the protection of undercover operatives trained overseas in counterintelligence strategies and intelligence gathering. Ex-President Zuma had initially refused to cooperate with the inquiry, arguing that Justice Zondo was biased against him. This led to the former president's imprisonment in July 2021 for contempt of court. He was released on medical payroll in September before being ordered back to jail by the High Court in December. Given what has transpired over the past few years in state capture-related cases, a long legal battle is likely to ensue. Reporting for QTV News, I am Yahya Jao.
Before we end this news bulletin, let's have a look at our main news headlines. The Ministry of Health has warned that the Gambia is currently experiencing the highest number of daily COVID cases since mid-2021. A fire outbreak in Bundung on Monday night has left more than 20 people homeless, among them women and children. Victims say the fire service was unable to locate the place until it was too late. In business news, we heard from a young entrepreneur who is championing tea bag making in the Gambia and aiming to eventually become a major exporter in the international market. In international news, the United States of America today, 6th January, reflect on the first anniversary of the Capitol attack following the disputed U.S. presidential election, which saw Joe Biden defeat Donald Trump. And South Africa's Zondo Commission report published on Tuesday has revealed the depth of the corruption scandals during Jacob Zuma's 9-year term as president. That's all we have for you in this news bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. Join us again at 10 for another bulletin.